Hello, good evening. I'm so sorry. I said I would be here at 8:15 and I'm a few minutes late. I had some technical error. I hope everybody's doing great tonight. I've already got my cameras all set up. Tonight, I'm going to be showing you, well, I guess I should introduce myself. I'm Elizabeth. You're on my Facebook page, Elizabeth Road Studio, or you might be watching me on YouTube. I'm Elizabeth Rose Studio. I'm a glass and resin artist in Kentucky, and I take broken glass and reclaimed wood and make beautiful things with it. I think they're beautiful anyway. This is an example of one of the things that I made with glass and resin. Hello, Leona. I'm so glad you're here tonight. I'm going to be showing how we make the ornaments in the maker's kits that I sell. I have one style of maker's kit that is still available. The other three are sold out. Hi, Connie. Hi, Gail and Pam. I'm so glad y'all are here. This is the one style that I have available still, and I have already recorded the video for that. So tonight we're going to be recording the videos for the holly. This is a poinsettia, holly and poinsettia, and a polar bear, and a snowflake, and a snow globe, if you can see that, snow globe, and a little penguin. So we're going to record the videos tonight for this. So I'm not going to answer a ton of questions. Hi, Mom. Mom is here too. Let me go ahead and put this in the comments. This is the link to get the maker's kits. Like I said, the 3 ornament kits sold out really quickly online, and I still have this one available. This could be an ornament. It's a little heavy. It's on reclaimed wood, but it would be a great shelf sitter. It would be great for a tiered tray. So this one is still available. The other ones, I just got some in my mouth. The other ones are not, but we're going to make them anyway, okay? Let's go ahead and get started. Let's get started. Okay, I'm sorry. I got fuzz in my hair, in my mouth, I mean. Okay, we're going to start with the polar bear and the snowflakes. I'm going to open these up. These have already started arriving on people's doorsteps. I shipped almost all of them yesterday. Yesterday or the day before. Can't remember. But I shipped almost all of them already. Some of this stuff is a surprise. I don't want you to see it, but I'm going to open these up. You should have an instruction sheet, art resin, cups, gloves, leather, glass, ornaments, a detail brush, a large brush, and the paint that you need. And that's everything that you need to make 4 ornaments. Let me pull my sleeves up. All right. I'm going to go ahead and pick out which ones I want to use for my snowflakes and which ones I want to use for my polar bear. I'm going to brush these off. Since the snowflake is a round, perfectly round shape, kind of, I'm going to choose the ones that are more round. Some of them are kind of not round because this is a natural product. It's got a little area out here. So I'm going to use these 2 for the polar bear. You can use whatever you want. And there are also written instructions on the back. So when you go to make these, don't feel like you have to follow me. You can just make it yourself. You don't have to follow what I'm doing. Okay. So I want to use these 2 for the polar bear. I'm going to start with the polar bear. You just want to dust them off and then choose which side you want to make your ornament on. I think I'll make my ornament on this side. It really doesn't matter, but sometimes, you know, some of them have a knot or something in them. And we're going to go ahead and start with our snowflake. Oh, no, we're starting with our polar bear. So I'm going to use the detail brush, and these come in their own little package. And I'm just going to put my paint in one of these cups. We're going to be using these cups later on when we pour resin. But for right now, I'm just going to use it as a paint holder, okay? I love this navy blue color. This is one of my favorite colors. I'm going to make a rainbow shape. Make sure that my hole is at the top. And when I say a rainbow shape, you guys, this polar bear is chunky. I'm going to go out here and I'm going to make a rainbow shape. It's that easy. That's how I make him a polar bear. How funny is that? And then I'm going to give him a couple of ears right here. That's all you have to do. Let's do one on this one. I'm going to make a rainbow shape, kind of wide at the bottom and come up and around and back down. You can take up the whole space. He's a big guy. I love to watch the polar bear documentaries, the Antarctica documentaries. I think they're so cute. Okay, now we can go in and we can use our big brush that came with it if we want to. I'm going to just kind of go through and fill in a little bit with this small brush just to get this detail around his ears. Paint our background with your brush. We'll be painting him white in just a minute, so don't worry about that. Don't worry about his ears. This is my most favorite thing to do in the holidays is to make ornaments. I love making ornaments of all kinds. We have so many in our tree, we can't even put them all on there every year. I think it's time to get another tree because I love ornaments. I've always been a miniature lover. Love tiny things like dollhouse things and just anything that's miniature. And so ornaments are right up my alley when it comes to that. Okay, now I'm going to need a little more paint right here. And I'm just going to go through and fill in around the edge. This brush might be too big for this particular one. Yeah, I might want to use the tiny brush for this one. Scratch that. We'll use the big brush on the snowflake ornaments. But where you have some detail, you're going to want to use the little brush. And I like to go all the way to the edge, but leave a little bit of wood before the bark. That's just a personal preference. If you're doing these, you do you. There is no wrong way to do these at all. This is like my favorite color. This in really pretty navy. And I think it looks so pretty when it has resin on it too. The darker colors just really sparkle with resin. Okay, we've got that one done. It's a great job for the kids. If you've got kids making ornaments with you, or if you just make them yourself and you don't want to share them with kids, I totally get that. We have lots of ladies that order these for girls' night out or girls' night in, I guess. It's not really girls' night out if you're staying at home making ornaments. All right, we're just going to go through here and finish this. I'm not going to answer very many questions while we're live, but please ask questions and please talk. And when I get finished, I will answer. I just want to make sure we get a good recording to put on my website so that when people are making this, they can follow along. Okay, look at that. I'm going to rinse out that brush with some water. And we're going to move on to some white paint. I'm going to use a different cup for this. And like I said, these cups will just end up upside down under your ornaments. So you don't have to worry about the paint. That's not a big deal. One of the things you do want to make sure you do before you get started is to cover your work surface. You want to make sure that you cover your work surface with plastic. Sometimes an unused opened trash bag works great. Plastic tablecloth, I get them at the Dollar Tree all the time. A plastic tarp. I use a plastic tarp in my studio and then I just peel the resin off afterwards. This is a cute little polar bear. My dad always loved those Coca-Cola commercials with the polar bears. I think they came out back in the 80s, didn't they? They're cute commercials. Now I'm putting a lot of paint on here because I don't want my polar bear to be see-through. You can do a couple of coats if you want him really, really white, because that wood does really show through. Now we'll do this guy. That was the best way for me to describe drawing the polar bear, is to draw a rainbow. We're going to do something similar when we do our penguins too. Just going to fill it in. I've not started decorating for Christmas yet, but I am so ready. I don't mind that the holiday lasts longer and longer every year because it seems like it goes faster every year. So I'm happy to leave my Christmas decorations up as long as possible. Okay, we've got our two little, I'm going to fix his ear a little bit. I think his ear needs to be a little bit bigger. That's how easy it is to make our little polar bear. Pulling up that blue paint. I think I'll make one a little girl and one of them a little boy. What do y'all think? Okay. I'm going to set these aside and I'm going to paint these for my snowflakes. I'm just going to squirt some paint on here because I know it's going to take quite a bit. These pieces of wood are very dry, which is good. You want them dry. That keeps them from cracking. They're very dry, and so they're going to soak up a lot of this paint. So if you have to do 2 coats, you might have to do 2 coats. Take some of that. I'll have to come back and add some more on there anyway. If you have a brush at home that you'd rather use, you can certainly do that. Just like to have everything in one kit. So if you need to travel with it, or if you're not a crafty person, you don't keep art supplies around, you'll have it. You'll have everything you need in there anyway. I used to put sponge brushes in them, but they were kind of, sponge brushes are not my favorite. After I did a couple of tutorials, I thought, oh, I need to change my brushes. Switch to these. I love these chip brushes for all kinds of stuff. And I'm going to dry these. You'll have surely the luxury of time at home, but on the video, I'm just going to use a dryer over here. I've got a little heat tool, just a crafting heat tool. You could use a hair dryer if you're in a hurry. You can just let them air dry. Eat a cookie, go get a snack, whatever, while they're drying. Let's try. Okay, I have to look at some of these comments. Connie, of course you can make these along with me. Even if you ordered a kit, I would love for you to find the supplies and make more of them. This is such an easy craft to do with kids or with family members, or if you wanted to make these as gift tags for Christmas gifts. Yep, you went to the box and it pops up as out of stock. Yep, they're all out of stock. Now these are not out of stock. When you go all the way to the bottom and you click on it, does that one pop up as out of stock? Because it shouldn't. It should be in stock. But yeah, you can make these. You see what the supplies are that I'm using. Go pick them up somewhere and make these yourself. Absolutely. Thank you, Karen. All right. Yeah, Sandy's watched me 3 times today. This will be the 3rd time, right? Okay. That is not totally dry, but it's dry enough. I'm going to go back to my brush here and I'm going to get some white paint. And I'm going to paint my snowflake on here. Now, how many people know that a snowflake has 6 sides? So when you paint a snowflake, you don't have to do it like this, but when you paint a snowflake, if you'll make an elongated X across the center, and you can see on these, when you look at them, you can see the rings. So you just want your line to go through the center, and that way you know you get it kind of in the middle. So if you make an elongated X, like a really wide flat X, almost like a manger if you were painting a manger, and then make one in the middle. And look, mine aren't even very straight. But that's not going to matter because I'm going to thicken these up. Thicken this up a little bit. Yeah, Connie, you're in my membership group. You're in my membership group, so I know that you have all these supplies. Okay. I'm going to just do a design on here that I think would be on a snowflake. I think on the instructions I said paint a snowflake. You can look at pictures online. You can look at my little illustration I did. Whatever you want to paint your snowflake. Just want to be sure and leave space for your hole up there at the top. See how that one's a little bit shorter because I had to leave space for the hole. And I'm going to do a few more little places on here. Let's paint the next one. So good to see you tonight. All right, let's make an elongated X through the center. And then another down the middle. Then we have 6 sides. I'm going to do circles on this one. Have you all ever looked at pictures of snowflakes up close? It is incredible. I'll never forget one year it snowed and snowed, and my sister had dark, dark black hair, and she was wearing a black coat, and every snowflake that fell on her, you could see the design in it just perfectly. It was so cool. And snowflakes are in a million different designs. Not a million, more than a million. Just make some marks on here. I'll show you when we go in here to do our glass on here. It's going to really, really look cool. Okay. Let's set these aside, and we're going to decorate. Oh, look. See, I feel like I need a little more white paint on there. Can you all see through there? So if you need to do another coat, do another coat. Whoop. We're going to do another coat real quick. So I want him to be really white, snow white. Oh, and you know what else? I also want to add snowflakes on here. And I'm just going to do polka dot snowflakes. Do y'all ever do polka dot snowflakes? Just where you take the back of your brush and you make, I got way too much paint on there when I did that little squirt it right on there trick. Don't do like that. But if you do, you can always just take it off. It's all good. It's all good. Okay. There we go. Now we've got a little more coverage with our paint. Okay, I'm going to take the back of my brush and dip it in this paint and put some snowflakes in the background here. Just some polka dot snowflakes. So it looks like it's snowing around our polar bear. We don't want him standing out in the outside without any snow. I'm a snow lover, so I would put snow on everything. Always with the snow. And these are the easiest kind of snowflakes to do. All right. Now I'm finished with the paint. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to get out the glass here. This glass is what I want. This is what we're going to use for our polar bears. And there's all kinds of stuff. And when you open this up, it's always helpful to dump it into one of these little cups. These cups are super handy for this. I'm going to pick out these eyes here. You probably have an extra eye or two. And I'm going to place them on my bear here. And I'm doing that while the paint's still wet so that they kind of stay in place. If you don't do it while the paint's wet, you can always dip them in a little bit of paint and then place them. And I want to show you something. I want to show you how, if you put your eyes close together or far apart, you can change the expression of your bear. So this one's going to have his eyes far apart. And these noses are really funny. So the flat part goes up. They're all a little bit different. So see how they look a little bit different when their noses and their eyes, like depending on how you do them, they're all a little bit different. I think it's so much fun. Okay, then we're just going to use blue paint for this, for his little face, because it's not going to show up that much. So I'm just going to use my detail brush, dip in the blue paint, and just make a little mouth, like just a little separation down there. Just like on a bear. And if you had black paint and you wanted to do it with black, that's fine. But the blue, you can't even really tell that it's blue. There we go. Isn't he cute? Well, we're going to make one of them a little girl and one of them a little boy. And how I do that is I like to put some glass on here, and we'll give her a little hair bow with our glass, maybe over here on this ear. Let's see. There we go. Let me see, maybe that, you're going to have plenty of glass to play around with it and figure out what you want. So if you put a piece of glass on there and you're not crazy about it, switch it out with another one. There is plenty. There should be several little pieces. And he's going to get a little holly down here. Let me move this down a little bit. Maybe you can see better. I don't know if that's too bright or what. He's going to get a little bit down here. She's got a hair bow, and he's got his little lapel holly, I guess. Okay. And I'm going to put these on there. I'm going to use my paint like glue. I'm just dipping the bottom in that and setting it on there so that it'll stay. You don't have to do that. You could use glue, or you could just set them on there and hope for the best. But I feel like if you use your paint as glue, you have a better chance of it kind of staying in place. It's a little bit like playing Operation, but you get the idea, right? We're going to put hers over here. And almost covering it. You should have plenty of extra little balls too, little glitter balls. Whoop. Let's move that back up. Get the back of my brush there. Moved it out of the way. I'm just using the paint as glue here, okay? I don't want to mess up her eye, though. I'll put one more little ball right on top of there. There we go. She has her little hair bow, and he has his little lapel holly. And then I'm going to take these clear discs and put them on some of this snow just to give it dimension. These are in the kit too, just to give it dimension. Oh. You can do this while it's wet, or you can wait for it to dry, whatever you prefer. If you have to move them, it's going to smear the paint though, so you might want to wait for them to dry. And then you can put some where there aren't any dots, like there. Put some on the dots, some where there aren't any dots. Whatever you want to do. I think that's good enough. Okay, those guys are done. And see, I still have some extra pieces. You'll probably have extra pieces too. Okay. Oops. I'm going to move these out of the way. And we're going to go to our snowflakes. No two are alike, right? Okay, then I have this bag of glass. I've got one more cup. I'm going to put that in. Raise this up a little. These ornaments are about 3 to 3.5 inches, or maybe they're 3 1/4 to 3.5 inches. You know what? I have a ruler right here. Let's look. Yep, these are 3.5 inches, and that one's a little more than 3.5. So maybe they're 3.5 to 3 3/4 inches. They're all a little bit different. All right, I'm going to sprinkle this on here. And listen, I don't want you all to get too worried about this, because when we pour resin on it, the resin is going to create transparency in the glass. And where it's painted white, it's going to look white. And where it is painted blue, it's going to look like the background blue. And I'll show you this sample again here in just a second. We're just sprinkling. I'm keeping it a little bit on the piece, but do you see how I don't mind that it's all over? Kind of reminds me, okay, maybe I'm aging myself, or maybe kids still do this. Kind of reminds me of those borax snowflakes that we used to make with borax and pipe cleaners, because it's like the snowflake gets all crystally. See that? And see how this glass is on the blue background, but you still see the snowflake underneath it, but it looks real crystally. Okay. So we're going to do the same thing on this one. And this glass is not sharp. It doesn't cut you. The other glass, you could get cut. You just have to be careful. And there are gloves in every box as well. I just have a hard time doing the glass with gloves on. But now when we go to pour resin on it, we're definitely going to wear gloves. I love that sound. It's crunchy like ice. Okay. All right, so now I think we're ready to pour resin on these. I'm going to raise the camera up a little bit so we can see a larger view here. And you're going to have some paint in these. You might even have some glass. You could save your glass if you want to. You can put it back in a bag, use it for a different project, whatever you want to do. If you've got plastic down, it's not going to hurt to turn these cups upside down, which is what we're going to do. Turn them upside down and put these ornaments on top of them. This is so that when we pour resin in just a minute, we are going to have space for the resin to drizzle off and land on the tablecloth if we need it to, or on the plastic underneath, okay? I'm going to go ahead and put these gloves on. Oh. If you all are just getting on, I am going to answer all the questions afterwards, but please go ahead and ask them. I'm recording this for my website, so they won't be able to see any questions you ask. So go ahead and ask away. And as soon as the video's over, I will get on and ask. I will get on and answer. Okay, so this is art resin. This is the resin that I use. It's made by artists for artists. You can use it in your house. You want to keep it at a room temperature. You don't want to store it somewhere really, really cold before you use it. You want it to be flexible and malleable. It's a lot like corn syrup. It has no VOCs. I might have already said that. And it's safe to do indoors. But you do want to do this part in an area where the ornaments can be left to dry for at least 12 to 24 hours. After 12 hours, you should be able to move them around. They won't be sticky anymore, or they shouldn't be sticky. They might be a little tacky, but let me move these up. Hold on. And you want to make sure that your paint that you're pouring resin on is completely dry. So if you need to go do something else and come back to these, that's very important to make sure your paint is completely dry, okay? So this is what the resin packet looks like. We're going to take this clip off and slide out this plastic rod, and then both parts will mix together. This is such an easy way to get introduced to resin because the part A and part B will mix together inside this bag. And you'll want to, Alexa, set a timer for 3 minutes. Set a timer for 3 minutes and stir this, mix this thoroughly, okay? Thoroughly mix this. This is a great job for the kids to do, but you need to make sure that they are really mixing it, okay? You want to make sure this is very well mixed and you get the corners, you get the middle part. If not, your resin will never set up because this is a chemical reaction going on in here and you want that resin to set up. And always set a timer. I've been doing this for years and years and years, and I still set a timer. And sometimes I think, oh my gosh, it's been 3 minutes, and I'll have like 5 seconds left. But I always set a timer, and I always mix it just a little bit beyond that 3 minutes. I'll probably speed up this part of the video, so let me answer a couple of questions while we're here. Yes, this is a kit, and they are, the ornament kit part is sold out online, but I still have this kit available online. And I know I have this kit available online. So let me look and see. Did somebody say they checked that? Wait, I'm still mixing. Still mixing. Yeah, it's still available online. I just went and checked. I just added it to my cart. So this kit is the only one. Okay, and they ship for free. So I put the link at the top of the video. I'll post it again right here. Whoops. That is the link to the Christmas tree kit. The ornaments sold out in like 2 hours. They sold out really quickly. So let's see. So I'm going to do this one, and then I have 2 more to do. I'm doing 3 of them tonight. Oh, you're asking if you can put glass glitter on them. Absolutely. Glass glitter would be gorgeous. I use glitter all the time. Karen, if you pour resin on paint that isn't dry, will it ever dry properly? No, it won't. You have to make sure your paint is completely dry. For the sake of time, I am doing this, but I'm going to go ahead and pour. But you really have to wait for it to completely dry. Let's see. The other thing I wanted to do was do this on a board instead of the plastic, because I got to do another one right after this. Okay, so we're still mixing. See, it's a long time to mix. And some people just try to guesstimate it. You can't do that. You want to be sure and get your corners. Now, I do want to tell you, Alexa, stop. You're going to need every single drop of this resin because these resin packets only come in 2-ounce packets. And I wanted to do bigger ornaments this year. So I did check and make sure that it would work, but you really do need every ounce of this resin. I'm going to put these on something here just because I got to do another thing after this. So I forgot I needed to do that. So bear with me just a second. Just knock that over. Okay, there we go. All right, now one thing you do want to remember is that this resin is only going to be good for about another 15 minutes. Once you've mixed it, you need to pour it right away. So make sure that you're ready to go before you take that pink clip out and mix them together. And I want you to cut like a teeny tiny corner off of here. We're not going to cut very much because we want a really slow drizzle, okay? I'm going to bring the camera down a little bit. And I'll start with our princess here, our princess polar bear. And you want to drizzle over the glass and anything that's 3-dimensional, you want to drizzle over that first because you'll never be able to go back and add more to the top. I mean, you could, but I mean, you know, you're just going to drizzle over the very top first. And you're going to do that on all of these. First thing, you're going to drizzle over the stuff that's sticking up first. Like I said, it's like corn syrup and it'll seek its own level. So don't worry about all those drizzly bumps and whatever. We're not going to worry about that. It'll drain down and cover everything. But you want to make sure that you drizzle over all of the glass part or the part that's sticking up. And it's going to drain down and fill in all that area in between. We'll come back and add more to the polar bears in just a minute. I just want to make sure we get all of this covered first. Like I said, you'll have just enough resin to do the 4 of these. You're not going to have any left over. But that's good. I don't ever want to waste resin. Resin is too precious. It's like liquid gold. Makes everything sparkle. And you don't want these touching because sometimes they stick together. Not that I would know from experience or anything, but they will. Okay, covering all of that area. We're going to go back and cover all of this extra area. We had plenty. Cassandra, I'm so glad that I do too. Well, I'll explain to y'all in just a minute what happened. Okay. There we go. Look how precious. Oh, I love these. I love these guys. Okay, so then you're going to let this, you can use up all the resin. The worst thing that could happen is it's going to drain down and land on your plastic underneath, or in my case, this other thing that I've put underneath, okay? So use up all your resin. See how it makes the colors darker and richer? That's one of the best things about it, is it just, it changes the look of things, and look how sparkly they are. Aren't they pretty? Okay, so optional item, if you have a little, if you have a little kitchen torch, you can take a torch and just zap it real quick with a little butane torch, or with like a long lighter. and it'll get rid of all the bubbles that are on top. But those bubbles are going to pop anyway. Art resin's a really good product. The bubbles underneath will rise to the top, and they will pop, pop, pop on their own. All right, so that is, one more thing. If you want to, while it's curing, after a few minutes, you could come back in with a toothpick. It's not big enough for the back of that. The toothpick or something, and clear out those holes, or you can just wait till they're completely dry and then drill the holes in there, okay? So no big deal. Do it either way. I'm going to move these out of the way here very, very carefully, kind of carefully. And we're going to do our next one. Actually, I'm going to put them down here so I don't knock them over. Please hold. Okay. Now we've got our next one to do. I'm going to put down this first now. I learned. Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, you didn't miss it, Elizabeth. We've got 2 more kits to do, so get ready. Get ready. We're going to be here for a little while. And that's what I love about this night. I always do it right as the kits ship out. And I think it's so much fun to hop on here and make these with you guys. Okay, so this is our snow globe and penguin. And this kit makes 2 snow globe ornaments and 2 penguin ornaments. I'm going to get out all of the goodies that you should have. The paint and the glass and the brush, and I don't think there's anything else. Okay, let's get started. Set this here so I know what I'm doing. All right, so do the same thing. Got a lot of dust, that's what happens. Do the same thing. Look at your ornaments. Decide which side you want to make your ornaments on, and decide which ones you want to use for which project. I think I like the bigger ones for the snow globe, because when I look at the glass, this is how big the glass is for the snow globe. So I want to be sure that that's going to fit on there, okay? It'll fit on even the smallest ones, but I kind of like it on the bigger one. Okie dokie. So let's do our snow globes first. Let me shake this off. There we go. And now I forgot which ones the big ones are. These 2. Okay. The first thing you're going to do is take out your glass, and I'm going to dump it into these little cups. All of the glass fit in this container here, in this bag. So all of your glass is in one bag for these. And you're going to get out the snow globe part. And you can either use a pencil, or you can just eyeball it, or you could use a paintbrush. I'm going to use the paintbrush. We've got a detail brush with this one as well. And I'm going to squirt out, where'd my blue paint? Squirt out the paint. And we're going to use this to trace around our snow globe, because we don't want behind this snow globe to be painted dark blue. Behind the snow globe, we're going to paint it a different color. Okay. Oh, I probably should have done this too. You want to also put your base on there so that you can see where your base is going to go. I think that's still okay. That's still good. We'll just trace around this. Just like that, okay? And you're going to do the same thing on this one. You might want to set your snow globe base on there to see where you're going to paint this. Just like that. And then that way, I'm going to trace around the base here too. And that way, if some of the glass that you have is red, see how it's going to look really, really dark? It might be hard to see. See how it would look really, really dark if we painted the blue underneath? The snow globe is glass. Oh, it's glass. I'm going to wipe that off because I got some paint on there. So you could wash that off if you needed to. This is all glass in here. So I'm going to go through here and paint around the edge with my blue, kind of like we did before with the other ornaments. You just want to go right up to that edge. I do like to leave a little space around the edge of the bark. But you do whatever you want to do, whatever works for you. We're going to just go through here with our blue paint, paint around the edge. I'm going to do the same thing with the other one. Now I want to show you something that you could do with the other, with the snow globe. If you don't want to paint the little trees in the background, did you all see what those look like? This is what the snow globe looks like. Okay, so a good idea, if you wanted to, would be to put a photo underneath there of your house, your church, your dog, your cat, your child, your family, or you could choose to paint underneath your snow globe. I'm going to paint underneath mine just because that's what I have available. But if you had a photo you wanted to use, the only thing I would recommend if you wanted to put a picture underneath there would be to seal that picture with Mod Podge or something like that first. I would use Mod Podge and seal the picture onto your wood and then let that dry thoroughly. And then you can do the rest of the ornament just like this one. I know that looks kind of messy. Let me clean that up a little bit. Clean up. Okay, same as before. You need to let this dry completely. We're going to keep moving though. The next thing I want to do is, I've still got a little bit of blue in here. I'm going to add some of my white paint to that. And I'm going to mix that up to make my light blue color that's going to go in the background of my snow globe. We're making a light blue. Might want a little more white. So you're going to have to do this yourself. I usually include all the colors of paint. And I am including them all. But to make the light blue, you're going to have to mix it yourself. But I have faith in you guys. Even those of you that say you aren't crafty or artistic, I think you can do this. Okay, so I'm going to paint my background here inside my snow globe. Remember, we're going to be putting that glass piece on top of this. So I'm going to go down to kind of 3/4 of the way down and stop. Because that part down there is going to have snow on it. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Go down to about 3/4 of the way down. I think that's where I needed to be on this one. And then I'm going to stop. Because like I said, I'm going to paint that part down there white. That's where our snow is going to be. Okay. I know these look kind of funny, but I promise they're going to look really cute when we're finished. Okay, now I'm going to take my white paint, put some white paint in there. And it's okay to put your paint in these cups because we're just going to turn these upside down. I'm going to make a little mound of snow underneath there. And I'm going to go ahead and paint down here this underneath where the red base is going. I'm painting that white because If my red glass, everybody's red glass is different. If my red glass is kind of sheer, I don't want the blue to show through it because it'll make it look kind of dark, and I want it to be bright red. All right. There we go. We can always come back through and touch up the blue around it if we need to. I'm going to let these dry for just a minute, and we're going to start on our penguins. Let's do some penguins for a second. I'll let those dry. Okay, so to make the penguin, guess what we're going to do? I'm going to take some black paint, put black paint in one of my cups. Whoop. And I'm going to draw, rinse off my brush, using the detail brush for this. I'm going to draw a rainbow. Big arch here. Big arch for our cute penguin. I'm going to make this one a little bigger. I said this about the polar bears a minute ago, but I love documentaries about penguins too. They're so cute. And I love the way the dads protect the egg while the mom goes out and fishes or hunts for fish, whatever she does. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. Okay, so now we're going to make this face. And I didn't provide a template, but you guys can do this. We're going to make a heart shape. Okay, make a heart. And stop halfway, part of the way. Make a heart. And then we're going to make our wings come out like this. All right, let's do it again on this one. We're going to make a heart shape. Whoa. And we're going to stop before we get to the bottom of the heart, okay? And then we're going to make our wings come out like this. And that's how we make our penguin. And then we're going to fill in this way here with black. This might need to come down a little bit. You can adjust it as you go. Don't be afraid to do that. And if you feel more comfortable sketching it on with a pencil first, that's fine too. Look, she's already looking cute. I'm going to do a little boy penguin and a little girl penguin. Let's look at this one. Let's see, she came down far enough on her arms there. Penguins are fascinating. All right, rinse out my brush. And then we're going to go in with our white that we have in this cup and fill in that body. You might want to wait for your black to dry because if you go over, it's going to pull some of that black in. And then you're going to have some gray. And then you're going to be all frustrated and you're not going to be able to get your paint clean because black is really hard to cover. And white's hard to cover up. So do as I say, not as I do. This is for the sake of Facebook Live or YouTube Live, whatever you're watching on tonight. Or on my website, if you're watching on there. Okay. We got that cutie. Now we're going to have this cutie. Fill in with this white. I get real quiet when I paint. Can you tell? I'm usually a talker. When I'm painting, I get real quiet. Okay. There we go, guys. Look how cute. We have our penguins. Oh, we have to paint the background for the penguin. So I wanted to use light blue for the penguin background. Do you want to see what this penguin looks like? So I've already mixed my light blue because I used that in the snow globe, right? So you should still have some light blue left. If you don't, you could add some more blue. You can mix some more. You're just using the navy blue and the white, okay? I'm going to fill in around the sides here. And you have a big paintbrush too, but this would be hard to do with a big paintbrush. Probably don't even need the big paintbrush for this kit. But like I said, you all can ask questions. I'm just going to wait to answer them till after the video's over. These are really easy to do yourself if you want to buy your own supplies. And you would not have, you can get resin anywhere. You can get resin on Amazon, Michael's, Hobby Lobby, printartresin.com. That's where I get mine. Pretty much anywhere that has art supplies now sells resin. But if you didn't want to fool with the resin for these penguin and the penguin and the polar bear, if you just wanted to glue little pieces on for them, that would be super easy to do. Not that I don't want to sell my kits, but they're all sold out. So you could definitely get the materials and make them on your own. And if you do, I'd love to see them. Send me a picture, post a picture, tag me in it. I'd love to see them. Okay, there we go. Now we got our little penguins. And you know what we're going to do on this? We're going to take the back of our brush and we're going to make some polka dot snow. I need to let that dry a little bit so I'm going to show up. Polka dot snow is my favorite. And sometimes, even in Kentucky, we'll get polka dot snow outside. Huge flakes falling. I love snow. I welcome this kind of snow. Any kind of snow. My favorite. Okay. So there we go. And it looks to me like our little snow globes are almost ready. Now, don't be intimidated by this, but we're going to open this little packet of green paint that comes with it. And it's like a ketchup packet. I'm going to squeeze the corner so there's no paint in that corner. And I'm going to snip it off. And you can put this in one of your little cups. I'm just going to put it out here to the side in the cup that has the white paint in it. Or you could put it on a paper plate or whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter. You do not need near the amount of paint that I provided in there. I just couldn't give you a smaller amount. So, okay. And I'm going to take my detail brush and I'm going to paint some trees. I'm going to start at the top and make swooshes down, arrow shapes down and down and down and down. I'm going to do different sizes. Some short, some tall. Dipped in the white there, but we're going to put some white on them too. Because it's snowing in the snow globe, right? Snowing. Let me do this other one too. We'll do a big one on this one. Big one in the middle. Maybe a little one out here. Another little one here. Okay. I'm going to rinse off the brush. The snow globe part, you can find these online. They're like, I can't remember what they're called, but they're like with the flat marbles. You know what I'm talking about? And I'm gonna add some snow. Add some snow to these trees. There's a lot of snow in this snow globe, so my trees are heavily covered. This one doesn't have quite as much snow in it. I like to imagine little worlds inside snow globes. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make some polka dotted snow. Actually, there's not a lot of room because I made that kind of big, so we'll just make some little dots with my brush. Snow's coming down inside the snow globe. Whoop. Made those a little large. That's okay. You get the idea, right? Here. Cover those up. Those got just too big. Too big. And remember, it's only paint. It's okay if you have to paint over it. That does not hurt a thing. Okay. There we go. That's better. Got carried away. Okay. I'm going to take my heat tool and dry these. Cabicons, thank you so much. Although that's probably not how you say that because it's a French word, isn't it? I'm going to dry this off. Because I don't want to lay my glass down on top of my snow globe when it's wet. I'm going to give this a good dry here, get it started drying anyway. And I think I'm going to let this dry while I decorate my penguins. Let's give these penguins some life. These are all the little pieces I have, right? So our penguins get a little nose. Ooh, they get a little nose. I can pick it up. Right down here. A little beak. I guess it's not a nose, it's a beak. They each get a beak. And they each get eyes. And if you can't get the eyes to stay, you can dip them in a little bit of white paint or put the white paint. Let me show you. These are kind of small to dip, but you can put, if it's not still wet, am I making sense at all? If your paint is not still wet, you can put a little drop of paint there and use that as a glue to hold the eyes in place. Here's my other eye. You should have at least one or two extra eyes. Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Put some eyes on this guy. We'll make one of them a little girl and one of them a little boy. And there's another eye. All right. Mama penguin and daddy penguin. I'm going to put this up here like it's in her hair. Ooh. And I'm going to put this one down here like it's on his lapel. He's got a little lapel holly. And then the same thing with these. This is easier to dip into paint to make it stick, but I just use paint like glue. as if it were glue, I guess, to put the little red holly berries on. There we go. And it'll help them to stay at least until you get the resin poured. The resin is what's really going to hold everything in place. So it doesn't have to stay for very long. Just keep it from rolling around when you're drizzling resin on it. Nope. And there we go. We got one more little berry. Sweet little berries. Okay. Oh, and I want to put these on some snowflakes. Some of this snow here. There's a flat side to these, and that's what I'm laying on here. And you can wait till it's dry if you want to. You can put these on while they're wet. Whatever you want to do. Whatever works. And you don't have to put them over your polka dot snow. You can just set them on there wherever you want to. They don't have to actually cover a snowflake or snowball or whatever. Okay, let's move these out of the way. And it's almost dry. Let me give it one more shot with the heat gun. Okay. Let me make sure there's no paint on these where I traced that. You might be better off using a pencil to trace than the brush. When I did my samples, I used a brush, but I was a little bit cleaner about it than I was this time. Okay, we're going to set down our snow globe and set down our, oh, I used the other one on this one, didn't I? Set down our base. Oh, I moved it up a little bit. And the same thing over here. The snow globe and the base. And then I'm going to go back through with my blue paint, which I had. What did I do with it? My blue paint. And, oh, I added white to it. That's right. All right. And I'm just going to touch up a little bit. I come in close here where that is showing. I'm going to come in over here, maybe want that to be cleaned up a little. Maybe on this side. Actually, it's not bad. Not bad. Oh, this side over here you can see. Oh, I think I didn't get it straight. But that's okay. That's what this is for. You can come back through here and touch this up, and you're not even going to know it. You're not even going to know. You can't see from up above. But, okay, now, if you really want to get fancy, you could write the year down here or your name. I think I'm going to put the year on here with some white paint because I have this white paint here. Let me dip into the white paint and I'll do, you could use, I would not use a Sharpie for this, but if you had a paint pen, you could, if you don't feel comfortable. But this brush is pretty tiny, so you could do the year on here. That's the right year, right? 2021. You could put a family name on here. Of course, you know, if you had a picture of your pet on there, you could put your picture on there. I'll put Rhodes on here. Put your pet's name. This one right, this snow globe ornament is so customizable. And I love that when people can really come into these kits and make them their own. There we go. Okay. So these are ready for resin. Let me see. Let me get situated here. Put that back in there. So you'll just turn your cups upside down and set your ornaments on top of them. And it's okay if there's paint in them. That's not a big deal because you've already put down your plastic, right? Or whatever you've got underneath your table. And so your upside down cups, if there's stuff in them, that is no big deal. All right, so you want to make sure, let me pull this up a little bit. You want to make sure your paint, anything that you put on here, is completely dry before you go to the next step, okay? Your next step is going to be resin. I'm going to do this again because everybody that gets a kit needs to know how to do this. Whoop. There's your safety information. So, number one thing, you want to put on your gloves. You're going to put on your gloves, and you want to do this in a place where you can leave them to dry for at least 12 to 24 hours. After 12 hours, they're going to be fine to move, probably as long as they're in a good room temp environment. You don't want to do it where it's really, really cold. And they'll be good enough to move. And then after 24 hours, you can handle them just fine. Okay, so I just took the cover off of that resin. The safety information is inside there. Art resin is my favorite product because it has no VOCs. You can do it in your house. The odor is not bad. It's not bad for you. It's just very slight odor. And it doesn't smell bad, I guess is what I'm saying. So you want to slide this clip out. Take the clip out and take out the plastic rod. And then this is 2-part resin epoxy. So you've got part A and part B here, and you're just going to mix them together. Alexa, set a timer for 3 minutes. And you're going to set a timer and mix it thoroughly for 3 minutes, okay? So you can let your kids do this, but you need to make sure that they're mixing the whole time. Now I'm going to go back and answer questions because I'll speed up this part when I put it on my website. Let me scroll back and look and see. Yes, the Christmas trees are still available. Yep. So if you're just getting on here, I am making ornaments, part of my ornament kits. I am showing the tutorial on making the ornaments. And yeah, this is going to be posted on my website. So anybody that purchased a kit will have a link to watch it. So if they don't want to follow instructions or if they just want to hang out with me for a little while, this is what they're going to get. I'll speed this part up though, so they don't have to sit and listen to me talk to you guys. So what's everybody doing tonight? Does anybody have big plans for the weekend? I went to a craft vendor event last night. Not craft, but it's a barn sale. Some of the things were handmade. Some of them were like boutique items. And it was so much fun. It really got me in the Christmas spirit. Santa Claus is there tonight visiting with the kiddos. Oh, it's probably over by now. I think it ended at 8. We're on here kind of late, aren't we? Let's see. So it really got me in the Christmas spirit. There was live music and hot cider and so much fun. I'm ready for Christmas now, I think. I just have to do some shopping. You're making my ornaments? Are you really? Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. Oh, that's awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. They're so much fun to do because no matter what you do, they're going to turn out really, really cute. Thank you. Thank you for supporting me. We have been so blessed by this little business. Can't even tell you. Yeah, everybody should be getting them. The only person that isn't going to get them this week is a friend in Japan that ordered them. She has taken my watercolor classes before and has ordered kits when she lived here in the US, and she moved back to Japan and ordered some kits. So I just got those out the door today. They were, I had to figure out the shipping on that. I don't usually ship to Japan, so that was a new one for me. Oh, good. You're going to get your kits tomorrow. Oh, Connie, I'm so glad you're making ornaments along with me. Oh, I'm so glad. I just love making them. I think it's so much fun. I love using these wood slices, but I use all kinds of things to make ornaments. Alexa, stop. Okay, so here's our resin. It's all thoroughly mixed, okay? I'm going to give it one last squish around and make sure I get those corners good. If you don't mix it thoroughly, it's not going to set up for you. Okay, so I'm going to snip the corner here just a little bit. You're going to need every single drop of this resin to do these ornaments. My ornaments this year were a little bit bigger than they normally are, and so you're going to need all of this, okay? We're going to make sure this is fully dry, and this is in a place where you can leave it to sit for 12 to 24 hours, okay? We're going to start with drizzling the resin on the glass part first. Oop, I cut that hole a little big. We're going to drizzle on the part that's sticking up first. Anything that's sticking up on them, I want that covered before anything else. So just go around and everything that's sticking up, get it covered. I know I say that over and over again, but it's pretty important because otherwise you might run out of resin. We're going to cover this whole big guy here before we move on to the base part, okay? Start with whatever's the highest peak. Go over that. I hope somebody does some family pictures or dog pictures or house or church or whatever in these snow globes, because I'm dying to see what that would look like. I haven't done one yet, but it would be such a cute way to personalize these. Okay, so now I have everything that's up high. So now I can go back and see how it's kind of already started to spread out onto the wood. Now I can go back and drizzle in the area where it hadn't covered yet. But it spreads on its own. So it's the consistency of corn syrup. Right now it's kind of a thin corn syrup because my hands are warm and it's warm up in this room. So the warmer it is, the thinner the resin's going to be, and it's going to come out quickly the thinner it is. All right. This last little bit. And just remember, if you do choose to do a photograph under the globes here, you'll want to make sure that you've sealed it. Otherwise, the resin's going to sneak in underneath that, and it's going to make your color on your photograph kind of dark and wet looking. So you don't want that. You want it to stay bright. Okay. And any leftover resin, from these globes or from the ornaments rather, is going to drip down the sides and land on your plastic underneath, and it will just stay right there. So you just leave these alone. You don't want any hands or animal pet hair or bugs or anything flying around the room where you do these, okay? Because they'll get stuck in this resin and then you got to dig them out. We don't want to do that. Okay. There we go. Look how pretty those are. Now, if you see any bubbles in here, they will rise to the top and eventually pop. But if you're worried about that, you can always take a torch or a long lighter and you can just pop those bubbles real quick and they just disappear. It's the carbon dioxide that makes them disappear. So just breathing on it, you can go, but like blowing on it doesn't really do anything. So there's a little speck right there. How would you seal the photo? You would use Mod Podge. So you would take the photo and cut it the size of the snow globe, set it onto the snow globe, and then Mod Podge under it and over it and let it dry. Yep. And then once it's dry, then continue with the rest of your project. Let's see. If the resin doesn't cover, can you use the paintbrush to move around? Absolutely. Your paintbrush will be ruined, but you can use a paintbrush. You can also use your gloved finger to kind of move it wherever you want it. And the only reason why it probably wouldn't cover is if it was really, really cold, if the resin was really cold, and when you mixed it for 3 minutes, it didn't get warm enough. And in that case, you want to keep on mixing it for a few minutes longer until you get it really warm. Okay. All right. So those are finished. I'm going to move these out of the way carefully. And we're going to move on to our next one. What do we have next? Next up is our holly and poinsettia kit. You guys, this one sold out the fastest. And I think I know why. Because it really is very pretty. I think it's pretty. I was really excited to do these this year. This will probably be one I'll have to do again next year. I've never done the same one twice, but I think this time I would have to. Okay, so this is the holly and poinsettia kit. This makes 4 ornaments, 2 holly and 2 poinsettia ornaments. Let me get everything out. You have gloves and glass and leather and beads and baubles and bits and pieces and your ornaments and glass and paint and resin and glue and a brush, and that's your kit right there. It's everything you need. All right, let me scoot some of this stuff out of the way. And we will dust these off because they get kind of dusty. This is obviously real wood, and they do get kind of dusty in here. The bark tends to loosen up on them and all of that. So you can pick which one you want for the poinsettia and which ones you want for the holly. Really doesn't matter because they're all about the same size, and the projects you're putting on them are all about the same size. I'm just going to put a squirt of white paint on here. But if you don't feel comfortable doing that, you could put it in your cup and then dip in the cup using your brush. So we're just going to use the brush to paint the background on these. And I like to get kind of close to the edge, but not all the way to the bark. You rob from Peter to pay Paul, right? Do people say that? I say that all the time. It's probably just something old people say, right? Although my boys have never questioned it. I'm sure they understand what that means. But stealing paint from that ornament to this one. I got some bark in my eye. That's no good. So you just want to paint this with a good coat of white. You could put a second coat on this if you feel like it needs it. This wood is really dry, but that's the way you want it. It's kiln dried. If it were really had a lot of moisture in it, then it would continue to expand and contract, and the resin would not do well with that. The resin would try to lift off the wood. So we're glad that they're really dry, but that means they're going to really soak up this paint. There's our last one. It's going to need a little more paint, I think. So if you're watching this live, you can ask questions and comment and all of that, and I promise I will answer them after we're finished. This is going to be posted on my website. Oh, look at that. I ended up getting dirt on there. I'm just going to paint over it. You're not going to see it. You're not going to see it at all. We're going to have a lot of stuff on here. Okay, I'm going to give these a quick dry just for the sake of time. And I think I want to do the poinsettias first. So I'll move those into the spotlight there. And you're going to have a lot of interesting pieces of glass in here. I cut all of this myself. Some years I have help, but ever since the pandemic started, I've been doing it myself. And let me just tell you, I did not appreciate my help enough when I had it. Okay, so for your poinsettia, you're going to want to take your leaves, your petals, I guess, and put the center pieces where the point is sticking out. I mean, this isn't that important, but I'm just going to kind of go through here and make a poinsettia. You should have like at least 5 petals for each poinsettia. Okay. So see how all the points are sticking out? Let me do that on this one. And I just dumped this out. All of this stuff was in one bag. Okay. So they're all in one bag, but you can arrange them, play around with how they're arranged, play around with the design, all of that. So let's say maybe I wanted to switch these two out. They're not in there in any particular way, okay? All right, then they also have these little green pieces. And I just want to put a couple, you know how poinsettia petals are actually the leaves that turn red, right? So poinsettia petals start out as leaves that turn, and then so underneath the red is green. The green is not usually on top of the red. That makes sense. I just want to include a couple of green pieces in here. You could do as many or as few as you like. You may not want to put any green glass in there, and that's okay too. These are your ornaments to do as you please. Let's see. And that's why you want this paint to be dry, because the more you move it, you're going to get paint on it like I did just then, because mine's not completely dry. I think that's all I'm going to do on that. Well, maybe one more. Maybe I'll do a little one over here. There we go. Okay, so I'm leaving some space in the middle because we have gold and white beads for the center here. You guys, there's so much to choose from here. Almost too much. I'm sorry. It might be overwhelming, but you can put anything you want in here in the middle. Maybe on this one, I want to do lots of gold. Sorry, my arm's in the way, isn't it? On this one, I'll do lots of gold. Let me turn this down, this light a little bit. I feel like it might be too bright. Is that helpful? That might be a little bit better. I'm going to do some gold pieces in here. You may even want to spread some of these out. And it's okay if this glass comes off the edge a little bit. You just don't want it to come off too much because it's going to be sharp. And I also included some, I might have gotten that too dark. You know, it's hard to measure the light in here. Okay, so you can also use this glue if you want to put, let's say, here's a jingle bell. You want to put a jingle bell right there. This Elmer's glue will dry clear. So I included that because I thought, you know, we might want to balance some things on here. You might want to see, that's why you need the glue, and that's why you want your paint dry. I'm going to cluster some of these little guys in here. These little gold balls. You might have all gold in yours. You might have all white. You might have all different designs and colors. They're all a little bit different, but I promise you they're all really, really pretty. I would want any of them. I'm just filling in these gaps with these little gold balls because I think they're pretty. Oh, can't really see over there. I love these little jingle bells in here. There we go. That's better. Then everything kind of settles down. Okay. Oops, there's glass chunks. Here's another gold. Drop that on there. I just love piling things up on these. I just feel like, you know, I'm always the girl that wants to gild the lily. Y'all know what that means, don't you? Just keep adding. People say, how do you know when to stop? And I say, well, I really don't like to stop. I just keep going. I just like to do it all. Okay, I'm going to move that one out of the way. I think I'm going to do this one in whites. Let's get some white stuff on here. Ooh, this looks like a disco ball. Nothing wrong with that. Nope, that's too big for this one. Slide these out a little. Oh, there you go. That's better. Like I said, it's a little bit like playing Operation, isn't it? Get a little glue on that to hold it. There we go. We'll put that one right here. Maybe add some of these little gold pieces to this one too. I like to fill in these gaps right here with these little ones. This is fun just to play around with, and you could even add, if you had something that was sentimental to you, like a little earring or something, you could add that to these too. That would be a fun little way to personalize this. But you're going to have plenty of stuff left over. And you can use it to make more ornaments if you want. Whatever you want to do. Let me see. I'm just throwing them in there. Okay. I think those are both really pretty. Okay. Let me move these two guys out of the spotlight here and bring in our holly. My mom's favorite is holly. She loves holly. So I know she's going to love making these. Okay, I'm going to dump out this glass. Pull this up a little bit. And you'll just want to arrange this. I included a variety of colors of green, a variety of shades of green, I guess. And again, I kind of like to arrange them so that the wider part is toward the center, but some of these pieces are cut a little different. And, you know, sometimes like this piece, let's say you can't quite figure out how that goes. You can just lay that however you want. It really doesn't matter. In the long run, you're going to see that green and you're going to see the red and you're going to know it's holly because that's how our mind works, right? Tell people all the time, we really just need a couple of clues and it's pretty obvious what something is. It doesn't take much. Let's see. Maybe we'll do this one. See, my paint is still a little bit wet. Make sure your paint is dry, okay? All right, so let's use these balls for the center of our holly. These are really pretty. And you can use your glue again if you want to. Let's see, I think that should go like that. We'll do quite a few here. You can use your glue. Whatever you do, you just want to make sure that everything is dry before you pour resin on it, okay? Try to rotate that around. Ooh, that's really pretty on there. Love that. It's almost a pink. Look at that. It matches my nails. Do you see my nails? I put pink holly berries on my nails. Slide this guy in there. And if you wanted to, if you've got a color that came in your packet for your poinsettia and you wanted to switch that out, listen, like I said, this is your project. You do what you want. If you want white berries on your holly or gold berries on your holly. In fact, I'm going to put some gold ones on here. These do not want to stay right there for me tonight. There we go. I think I'll do some gold on this one. Love this red ball though right here too. You're going to have plenty to choose from. You do not have to use them all, although you might be tempted to. There we go. Oh. They keep rolling around. Ooh, look at that. That's because that piece of glass wants to stand up. The same over here. I'm going to put that gem right in the middle. I have all these little balls that can go on here and fill in little gaps. And I still have some left over from the poinsettia. So like I said, you're going to have lots. And if you wanted to go pick some out and add some to them, you are more than welcome to do that, obviously. This is your project. Make it your own. I just love the way the broken glass and the sparkle of these glittery balls and the iridescence and all of that kind of all comes together. It really screams Christmas to me. All of this is very Christmassy. Let's see. So, balancing everything in there, right? Because sometimes it feels like a game of operation. But when it's all said and done and the glue dries, everything's going to stay in its spot. So after you get everything arranged the way you want it, raise this up a little bit, you're going to take these cups. I'm going to put these back in here so I can use the cups. And you're going to set your ornaments up on these cups on your plastic trash bag or your plastic tablecloth. And let's see, there's the top of that one. On these, the top doesn't really matter as much, I don't think. But if you want to keep that in mind, just pay attention to where the hole is. And there we go. And you want to let these dry completely. Do not want any wet paint. And especially you don't want any wet glue when you get ready to pour resin on these. So if it takes a couple of hours or overnight for your glue to dry, then let that glue dry. You do not want anything that's wet on these. However, for the sake of video and live social media, I'm going to go ahead and pour resin on these. Resin this is a 2-part resin epoxy. This is made by artists for artists. It has no VOCs, so you can do this in the house around kids and pets. It's not going to hurt anything. It has a very, very slight odor, but it's not dangerous. And you just want to make sure that you wear gloves. So I cut the top off of that, and this is all the safety information. If you need any of that, I have been using art resin for 6 years, and I love it. It's my favorite resin. There are lots of them out there, but I just like that I can use this one in the house, and it's never failed me. If it's ever not set up, it was entirely user error. Okay, so first thing you want to do is put on your gloves. You want to make sure that everything is dry and that you have plastic underneath your projects. Then you can take this clip off and slide out that rod, and then you'll have 2 parts, and you just mix them together. And you want to set a timer. Alexa, set a timer for 3 minutes. You want to set a timer for 3 minutes, okay? Definitely set a timer. I've been doing this for 7 years, and I always set a timer. I always know when 3 minutes is almost up, but I'm never going to trust myself because you do not want to end up with sticky resin that never sets up. So we're mixing the 2 parts together. And while I'm doing this, I can answer questions because we're recording this for the website, and I'll speed this part up. Hi, Joan. I love how my kit has so much of the accent pieces to pick from. I'm so glad. Have you already gotten your kit? You probably got it today. A lot of people got theirs today, and yours was a local delivery, so I bet it did. Oh, Dolores, I love those pink poinsettias. I want to see that. Post a picture of that. I want to see that. I think poinsettias are I just love them. I just love them. My mom used to have a plant and basket shop, and she made these huge poinsettia balls. Like, they were enormous. They would have like 10 or 15 poinsettias in them, and they were just great big wire balls, and plant all the poinsettias and moss in them. They were beautiful. Of course, that was back in the 70s. I wish she could do that again. Hi there. Hi, Christy. I'm so glad you're here tonight. It's good to see you. Hi, Cindy. Thank you so much. Thank you. This is probably my favorite one because there's so much room for personalization and just kind of making it really cool and unique. And somebody said they got their kit last night. I can't see your name because StreamYard's not showing me your name, but I'm so glad you got your kit. Awesome. Now there is one kit still available. All of these are sold out. This kit, if you just joined us, this kit is still available on my website, and it's free shipping. It has everything you need in it. And let me post that on here again in case. There we go. In case somebody wants to order one. All right. You guys have held out a long time. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. We're in the home stretch. We're almost done. We're almost finished. You guys are troopers. Thank you for joining me. This is I love doing this part, doing the videos for these kits. I think it's so much fun. But it's also a really long Facebook Live. And I understand that. It usually ends up taking a little over an hour, and we're almost at the 2-hour mark. Almost. I think I started at 8:20. So started a few minutes late, had some technical difficulties, but that's kind of par for the course, I think. Alexa, stop. So you're going to mix and mix and mix until your timer goes off. You want to make sure that even the corners don't have any resin, unmixed resin in them. You don't have any unmixed resin in the corners. Sorry. So you're going to need every bit of this resin for these projects. You're going to squeeze away from one of the corners and snip a tiny, tiny piece off that corner. This resin is going to come out kind of fast because it's warm from your hands and all the mixing. And what you want to do is make sure that you pour the resin over the highest points first. So for us, it's going to be these balls, right? That's going to be the very highest part that's sticking up. So you're going to start on that and drizzle. Drizzle your resin down and let it go down in between all of those balls and hold everything together. That's going to be what holds everything together. If you used glue to stack stuff up, which you probably did, you just want to be sure that that's completely dry before you do this part. And you're going to drizzle just on the highest points and move on to the next one. Because like I said, you're going to have just enough resin to do these. So you want to allow that resin to drain down and drizzle down in between all these pieces. And then you can go back and cover up the rest of the board. Okay. So now I'm going to go back and do the glass part. I did the balls first, the centers of everything first. And now I'm drizzling over the glass part. Like I said, this kit has just enough resin to do these 4 ornaments. If you find that some of these are sticking out over the edge after the resin has cured, like I'd give it a couple of days, you can take a nail file or a sanding block and you can sand down the tips that are sticking out over the edge so that they don't poke you, so that nobody gets cut or anything. Okay. So we're just drizzling on the glass now. We're doing all of them together so that we make sure we get everything covered. That's why I'm being so careful about that. You want to do the center and then the petals on all of them. See how this one, we just did the petals in the center, but already, might be hard to see on the camera, already the wood part is almost completely covered. So it just drains down and takes care of that for you. And that way you have enough resin to go over all of it. I just would hate it if we ran out. So it's a lot of surface area to cover. And these little resin packets only come in the 2-ounce packets. And I like big ornaments, so I wanted to make these as big as I could without running out of resin. Okay, so we're drizzling on all of it. You can go back and make sure that every little bit is covered. You want all of it to be covered with resin. The center should be covered because you did that first. And then on the outside, and any other is going to drip down and land on your plastic underneath. And if for some reason you see an area that isn't covered, you can take your gloved finger and push the resin there, or I've even sometimes picked it up off of the plastic underneath and dabbed back up onto the art piece if it didn't quite cover, but you should have enough to do that. And then all of these bubbles that are on here are going to really rise to the top, but if they don't, well, not if they don't, they will rise to the top. Art resins are a really good product and their bubbles just kind of float. But if you want to get rid of the bubbles on your own, you can always use a little propane torch, like mine's really covered in resin, like a little kitchen torch, and just zap it and pop those bubbles. Don't hold it in one place because it'll burn the resin, but and just pop those bubbles. You're good to go. All right. So you can take a toothpick and clean out the holes after a little while after they drain down, or you can just wait until they're completely dry and then you can use a drill and just drill the holes back out again. use a nail and a hammer and make another hole, whatever you want to do. And then you've got leather to tie to hang them. And don't forget to sign and date the back. And you want to be sure and store these in a temperate environment. You don't want to put them in the attic or garage where it might get hot and cold and hot again. So anyway, there you go. And those are our holly and poinsettia ornaments. All right. Thank you so much. Let me see if we've got any questions on here. Where can I buy the beads and baubles? I was able to find most of these locally. I did order some. I did order some online. This is a chunk of tempered fiberglass, so that came from Amazon. These I got at either Michael's or Hobby Lobby in the bead section. These are vase filler from Hobby Lobby. This is a flat marble. Some of those are in there. These little bitty beads and bits and baubles are from Hobby Lobby Christmas section. These are from the Dollar Tree, these little gemstones that are iridescent. Those are really fun. Let's see. Of course, the jingle bells, you can get those anywhere. I would suggest looking too at, oh, Connie, I want to see them. You just finished the polar bears and penguins and snowflakes. Oh, that's awesome. I want to see them. I would suggest whoever asked about the beads and baubles, I would suggest looking at old jewelry too, like vintage jewelry. You can pull those apart and use some of those pieces. That would make them even more meaningful. If you could find, like, just a lot of times at thrift stores, they'll just have a bag of broken jewelry or a vintage jewelry that you could use. So that would be fun to incorporate as well, if you don't want to go out and look for stuff like this. But I like looking for stuff. Oh, and these are just marbles. This one right here is just a glass marble. And this is a flat marble that's gold. You know, have you ever seen these? This is not what I use, but this is at Michael's. And they have all different colors of flat marbles all in one container. That would be really pretty to use too. Actually, this would be pretty for somebody. You said you're doing a pink poinsettia, maybe. That would be pretty to use with like silver glass, and use the pink in there. It would be gorgeous. All right. You guys are awesome. Stuck around all night for me. That's so nice of you. So nice of you to spend your evening with me. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Thank you again for joining me. If you're still looking for a Christmas craft and you need a kit, these are available and they have free shipping. So the link is in the comments there. All right. We'll see you guys again soon. Thanks so much. Bye.